Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Bright Ideas session on discovering the new content experience. We're really excited to have you join us today. Before we really get started, I do want to let everyone know just a few housekeeping items. So, one, closed captions are available. You can feel free to turn them on or off depending on your needs. And we actually made a change. So, if you have a preferred language, you can use the translate option as well for those captions to be translated into your preferred language if it's available. The Zoom Q&A box is also available for any questions that you have throughout today's session. Please keep all questions specific to today's topic, and we will do our best to answer any of those questions during the session. But if you don't see your answer while we're together, be sure to check the Q&A report that we will send in a follow-up email. Today's session is being recorded and will be posted to the Bright Ideas for Upgrade Essentials YouTube playlist in the next week. And in the coming days, we will send all registrants, whether you're here live with us or not, an email with a link to that playlist, a copy of the slide deck, which contains some additional resources, and a copy of the Q&As from today's session. So all that said, let's move on to today's agenda. So we will start with some introductions and a quick poll to help us get to know you better. We will also help you understand the why behind Brightspace's new content experience. Next, you'll get to see the new content experience in action through a demonstration, first from the learner's perspective, and then second from an instructor and course designer's perspective. And then we will end by sharing some resources and having time for discussion and questions. So for those who don't know, my name is Victoria Fulhenshaw, and I am a customer success specialist at D2L. Essentially, my role is to help educators and professionals like you make the most of your Brightspace tools. I'm also very excited to share that I have an amazing team of D2Lers here with me to support this session. From the customer success side, we have Heather, Sophie, Nicole, Sebastian, and Whitney. Joining us from Solutions Engineering is Mark. And last but certainly not least, we have Susan joining us from the product team. So thank you for being here, everybody, and sharing your expertise with the group today. And before we get too far, I would like to align on some quick terms. D2L is the company that we all work for. Brightspace is our product, a learning management system. And depending on where you work, you might call your learning management system something else, maybe like Avenue to Learn or the VLE. Although your LMS might go by a different name, if you're here, then it very likely refers to Brightspace. And then we also have Brightspace Community, which is D2L's free online website where members can find great teaching and learning information, share best practices, and connect with other professionals using Brightspace. Heather has added the link in the chat for the community to register if you are not yet a member. All right, so I want to start with why are we talking about the new content experience? What is it? Especially for those folks that are completely brand new to it. The new content experience is a modern, intuitive way to create and deliver content in Brightspace. It streamlines course building for instructors and course designers and provides a clearer, more engaging path for learners. We're also very excited about it because we've heard lots of positive feedback from customers who are already using it. So let's talk a little bit more about why many institutions and organizations are making the move to new content experience and why it's so valuable. So first off, the new content experience is clearer for learners. Learners prefer the new content experience because it's easy to navigate and they can clearly see their progress of where they're at in the course. So what's required, what's coming up next, and what's left to complete. This really supports learner autonomy and academic success. One institution has even said that on average, learners spent almost 4 hours more in units that use the new content experience. It's also simpler for educators. Because new content experience is so intuitive, it's easy to get started using it. It has less clicks and less effort, so instructors can really spend more of their time on teaching and learning versus that content creation. It's also efficient for instructors and course designers. We know how time consuming it is to set up a course. New Content Experience streamlines course building and simplifies content authoring workflows. It was designed to save you time when it comes to managing, organizing, and creating that content. So from grading to sharing content, it can be done quickly and intuitively in NCE. And last but not least, it is designed for the future. New Content Experience is where Brightspace is heading. It's already delivering time saving for many clients, and we're continuing to add new features, some of which I'll talk about today. It reflects the latest in usability research, is built for accessibility, and benefits from ongoing improvements based on real user feedback. So without further ado, I am going to take you on a journey of a learner using the New Content Experience. You'll get to see how the visual layout of the New Content Experience offers an engaging path for learners, helps them find what they need quickly, and you'll see how they can easily track their progress. All right, so let's open up our space here. So here I am in my Brightspace environment. I am already in my content space, and I'm logged in as Paulina here. Paulina is a learner in this Business 101 course. And let's really start with the predictable, clean interface that New Content Experience offers. One piece of feedback that we've heard from learners is that they really appreciate this intuitive layout. It reduces friction on behalf of the learner and gives them confidence as they move through their learning. So let me show you what I mean. On the left panel here, we have the table of contents. Learners can see all of the modules that are available to them, and you'll also notice these progress markers here. So we have 4 out of 10, 5 out of 8, 5 out of 6. This really highlights 3 important metrics for the learner. First is how many content topics are in the unit in total, how many has the learner already completed, and how many do they have left to go. This immediate feedback on their progress supports learner autonomy and academic success. So if I click on this Start Here module, you'll actually get to see the submodule or folder course information appear. And once I open this course information folder, I can see those different content topics appear below in this single streamlined view. If I open up the week 1 module, you'll see the same kind of format here. And I want to point your attention towards these icons that are on the left of each of these content pieces. These are next to the names of the content topic, and they really help the learner see at a glance what type of content it is, so they get visibility into exactly what's required of them and what's ahead. So we have a symbol for the quizzes, for our discussions and discussions up here, our assignments, and just our content pages as well. And what I really love about this is that everything appears in line. Once you select an item from the table of contents, say this week 1 discussion, it appears on the right-hand side. Learners can then interact with a variety of different content topics or types of content without ever having to leave the learning environment. This provides a more engaging path and helps them move between different content areas without losing their place. And if there's a due date associated with that content item, it's also clearly indicated right on the object as well. You can see that this quiz was due on September 12th of 2025. Whether it's an accessible activity like a discussion that is in line right here with the rest of their content, course or maybe like this course learning outcomes page right here, or maybe this one up here. This page was actually built natively in Brightspace using one of our pre-built HTML templates. And learners can also navigate using these arrows here to maybe get to this PDF file that was brought in via drag and drop. Once the learner has satisfied the conditions of being complete, whether it is automatically when they open up the content object, or if they are required to manually mark an activity as being complete. Learners don't have to question if they've completed something because they're provided with that completed check mark right here. And as I mentioned before, with these navigation buttons at the top, learners can move through course content effortlessly. So as you can see, the new content experience provides learners with a clear path for their learning with this logical structure. So let's go back down to week 1. This is really where the meat of our content is for this unit. As I hinted at before, the new content experience brings accessible activities directly into the content experience. So whether it's an assignment, a discussion, or quiz, there's no need to leave the content area. So let's take a look at an assignment. We're going to go into this My Learning Goals for Intro to Business. And at the top, you can see the activity content area. This provides learners with deadlines, expectations, and any evaluation details all in one place. You can also see in the top right corner the status card, which helps learners know exactly what they need to do. In this case, I need to submit this assignment, and I can do that right from this page. So as I scroll down, you can see our submission details. This gives us information on the fact that this is a text submission. So as a learner, I can type my answer directly into this text box right here. If I prefer to submit a video or audio reflection, I can actually do that using our video note tool in the insert stuff space here. But for now, Paulina has already typed up her answers or her response to this discussion, or this assignment, I should say, sorry. And I'm going to copy and paste that right here. So as Paulina, I'm going to submit my assignment. It's given me a notice right here at the bottom that this is successfully submitted. It's now refreshing my screen and it's letting me know on that status card that it has been submitted. This instant feedback really helps learners stay organized and confident about their next steps. Let's look at another assignment. We're going to go into week 2 for this one. You have to find where it's at on here. This assignment proposal is the one I'm thinking of. So this time with this assignment proposal, Paulina has already submitted her assignment, and it's very clear because she can see her overall grade in the status card. She can also quickly link to feedback, which will bring her to this My Workspace down here at the bottom to see her overall feedback. We can also open up the full evaluation to see any written feedback the instructor has provided. We can scroll down to see the rubric that's been assessed. And this rubric also has some feedback embedded directly into it as well. We can see her level of understanding with linked learning outcomes. And as I scroll down to the bottom, we even have the ability to see the submission itself and any inline feedback that Paulina can review, all from this one spot. But when it comes to other accessible activities, we can see a consistent experience as well. So let's look at this week 2 discussion. Here, Paulina is met with this discussion, and because this layout is identical to what we see in assignments, she doesn't need to learn a new workflow. Once you know how to submit to one assessment type, you can really just submit to them all. So she can easily go and review the activity content, and she can go ahead and post right down here from open discussion. You can see for this one, she's already received her overall grade for it as well. And the same could be said for a quiz. This is a quiz that Paulina has already taken, and again, we can see that consistent look and feel in the interface. If this was a quiz that she had not taken, it's very easy for her to scroll down here and click on Start Quiz right from here. Or say she was allowed multiple attempts, she could do that from here as well. So as you can see, this consistent assessment experience makes it easy for learners, reduces by reducing friction, and really helps learners focus on their learning by being able to see everything that they need in that one spot. The last area I really want to showcase from the learner's perspective is the search bar. So you can see in the top left corner here, a spot that says search titles and descriptions. If you need to revisit a topic or search ahead, Paulina or any learners can simply type in the word. So for this one, I'm going to put syllabus, and the results can appear instantly. The search functionality looks at titles and descriptions, so learners can quickly find exactly what they're looking for. So in the case of this one here, it has the word syllabus in the description. But for here, the word syllabus is in the title. So no matter, and one important note as well is no matter what device is being used, the new content experience is also all mobile responsive. So the experience feels just right on any device. Let me show you what that looks like. If I shrink down my page, and it's already shrunk down quite a bit here, you can see that this content is automatically resizing based on the screen real estate that's available. The same could be said for a page that's natively built inside Brightspace. So you can see our learning outcomes and everything here, but if I shrink it just a bit, you can see that our table of contents kind of goes off to the side, but it's still available here, even if my screen is much smaller. So no matter what device you're using, the experience adapts to you. This really helps learners stay on track and in touch anytime and anywhere. So all that said, you just experienced the new content experience as a learner. You saw how it improves learner engagement and clarity with its intuitive layout, clear learning paths, and visibility into progress tracking with completion metrics and status cards. So let's look at this slide deck and see how new content experience supports instructors and course designers. So the new content experience, like I said, not only offers an intuitive, simplified experience for learners, but it's also very simple for instructors and course designers to use, so they can spend less time on course setup and more time on teaching, pedagogy, and any other high priority tasks. In our demonstration, I'm going to show you how simple it is to create, organize, and manage those materials within the new content experience. Its seamless integration with other tools in Brightspace like assignments, discussions, and quizzes really means that you don't have to open multiple tabs or windows to manage content and activities. You can do it all from one spot. So let's take a look. Now I am logged in, as you can see, as Regina Davis. Um, we saw as a learner that the content area is where students come to interact with course materials. But as the instructor or course designer, I have that similar smooth visual appearance and content. But I also have this designer view where I can manage and author new components as well, right up here. So let's open up that course information folder again. And when I do that, one thing I want to call out is that this interface is very similar to what you saw as a learner. So if you're a course designer or facilitator, you're going to see a very similar experience in regards to the learner experience. And that's really important because it creates an easy way to assist learners as they move through their course. So let's take a look at an assignment that we looked at earlier. We're going to go down into week 1. And that my learning goals for business. And what we can see here is almost identical to what we saw as a learner. You can see this activity content here. And what I really love about this is that instructors can easily or instantly review instructions or make changes to the assignments right from here by clicking on Edit Activity. I don't need to go into the assignments tool, find the assignment, and then make changes there. And Personally, I always love it when I can do something in less clicks. If I scroll down and I can minimize this activity content here, this is really where you can see the difference between the learner and the instructor view, which is this completion summary here. Oh, so as learners complete this activity, this area will fill up with data. Here I can see a list of the learners in this course, their completion status, and their grade if I've already evaluated. If it's ready to be evaluated, I can also jump straight into the evaluation workflow straight from here. This provides such a clear view of learner progress, submission history, and readiness for evaluation. And something super important here is I can also see if a learner is online. So for example, if this is overdue and a learner has not submitted yet, say Harrison, Carlos, Darnell here, then I can see whether or not they're online. And I'll show you what that looks like. So Faith here, you can see when I hover over her page or her icon that it says she's offline. But Paulina here, as we saw earlier, is online in Brightspace right now, and I can see that right here. And what's awesome is I can go ahead and send that instant message or an email straight from this space here. As I've probably mentioned already, one of my favorite parts is that the assessment experiences are consistent. So if I take a look at, say, this discussion, I can go ahead and edit the activity or jump right into the topic to view it. And it's the same for a quiz. From this quiz, I can go ahead and see all the information I need about this quiz in this activity content area. I can also edit the activity, I can launch the quiz, and I can glance at those details all in line. And as we scroll down, we can see the number of attempts that my learners have completed it. And if this wasn't an auto-graded quiz and it required an instructor's intervention to assess, again, I can jump right into the evaluation experience in one click here. And as you can see, this one also shows that this evaluation has already been published for these learners as well. This really brings to life how efficient this inline experience is to instructors. They can edit an activity, check completion status, and launch into evaluation all without leaving content. This is important because it reduces the cognitive load by having everything in one place. Everything is streamlined, intuitive, and right where you need it. And I'm not sure if this has come up in the Q&A yet, but for those who are already using the new content experience, because there were a handful of you, and don't see your assessment activities in line, or maybe your table of contents on the left-hand side here looks a little bit different, it's likely due to a config variable. I do have a slide with more information on different config variables later in the session, but I wanted to bring that up in case it was top of mind for anybody right now. That said, Brightspace also has some powerful content authoring functionality that I'm excited to show you. So you saw how learners can interact with content. Now let's explore how instructors and course designers can use simple workflows to build beautiful content in Brightspace. Let's start by creating a brand new unit. In this course, we've renamed our units to modules here, but follow along with whichever language you're using. We're going to create a module. And I'm going to follow my kind of what I have now in terms of the naming conventions. And I'm going to go with week 4, financing a business. We're going to continue that week 3 there. When I create a new module or unit, I also have the option to add in a description. This is really helpful because of that search functionality that we looked at before, and any keywords in the description can be found in that search. So I'm going to go ahead and copy over this description that I have here. And I also have an image that I'd like to add. So let me jump into add an image, my computer. I'm going to move, yep, here it is. We have our financing, a business intro photo. And it is important to add in alternative text as well. So what we're going to do, you could mark this as decorative. This is generally a decorative image. But for my learners that do need assistive technology to see my content, I do want to add that alternative text in there. I've added this image before, as you can see. All right, for this image, I would like to format it a little bit and just have it centered. I personally like my images centered in my descriptions. And once we're done adding that content, I can really focus on the right-hand side. So here is where I'm met with some additional options. In the availability dates and conditions menu, I can choose a start or end date. A start date is essentially when do I want this content to be available to my learners. So if week 4, say it doesn't start until, let's say June 15th, I can pick that and then pick the time for that particular content to be available as well. If I want it to be available right away for learners, I can choose not to add that start date. And then this end date is the opposite of a start date. It's essentially the last time in which that content is available for the learners to access. So for this, I would like my learners to continue to access it later on in the course. So I'm not going to add an end date here. You also have the option to add a release condition here. So if you only want learners to see this unit, say after they satisfied a particular criterion, this is an option. So perhaps you only want them to see week 4 content after they've completed, say, a week 3 quiz. This is where I can add those release conditions to set that. And then we also have this display accordion. This here has to do with the color of the actual module on the left-hand side in the table of contents. This adds to the visual appeal, and we've heard that learners really appreciate it to support with organization and navigation. The default will match the color of the navigation bar theme. So in this course, it is that navy blue. But if I'd like to make it a different color, I can just select custom here and select a color. I personally love green, so I'm going to go for like a lime green color here. Plus, it's financing. We're thinking about money here. So I'm going to press save. And when I press save and close here, you'll get to see that module is in that lime green here on the side. I do want to note that this ability to change the color of the module is controlled by permission. So once again, if you're not seeing that, be sure to reach out to your Brightspace administrator. But now that we have a unit, and it has a start date of June 15th, that means it's not going to be visible to learners until that start date. So I'm going to go ahead and have this not be hidden for my own sake, so I don't forget to unhide it from learners. And we can go ahead and start adding to it. So I want to start by adding in content that I've actually already built outside of Brightspace. Brightspace does support bulk drag and drop, so you can easily add any static content that you have and it will upload and render directly into the interface. So PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents, or multimedia such as audio and video files, or even SCORM. So what I'm going to do is you saw some of them in the preview there. I'm going to drag these over, drop them here. And once your content is in place, I can easily rearrange the content with ease. So it's easy to get my learning organized and streamlined in an efficient manner. So I think I actually want this entrepreneur definition to go at the top. It's an easy thing to see, and I think these are fine there. I also want to point you towards the right-hand side of this page. As I kind of mentioned earlier, we have this very simple 2-button experience. We can either add existing materials that you've already created or use the create new to author content directly in Brightspace. So I'd like to go ahead and add existing. From here, I'm met with many options, including the ability to simply upload something from my Google Drive or OneDrive. Or once again, I can drag and drop my files, or browse from here as well. And if you've already created an accessible activity in Brightspace, such as an assignment, discussion, or quiz, I can add it right in line here for learners to see, just like we saw with Paulina. So all I have to do is simply click on this tool and then select an activity. So let's add in an assignment. I'd like to do financing a business. I feel like that fits with this particular week. We can see how it automatically renders right in line here for learners. And this workflow is exactly the same to add in different accessible activities such as discussions or quizzes. Let's look at how easy it is to author content directly in Brightspace as well. So from here, I'm going to actually create new. And from here, I can build a new submodule that might be named a subfolder for you, a page, or different activities as well. Once again, these submodules or folders, these are good for maybe an additional support folder, for example, like a instructor resources folder that's hidden from students. But it can also be good just to organize your content within a particular module as well. But for today, I'm going to author a new page of content. With this, I have our title of Budgeting Matters. If I have learning outcomes or standards, competencies, whichever terminology you use for it, but this is using the learning outcomes tool. If I have those added into my course, I can align content to learning outcomes directly from here. You can tell I've typed this one in a couple times. We can click on that and press save, and you'll see my outcomes are listed right here. And I can also add in a due date if I want my learners to look at this by a certain date. I do want to take a moment to call out these sparkles here. These are a component of our optional AI package called Lumi. It is not the focus for today's session, but in case you're wondering what it is, I just wanted to mention that. We've had sessions on Lumi in the past, and I'm sure there will be more in the future as well, so be sure to check those out if you're curious. But when you author content in Brightspace, I do want to note you do have the ability to apply a template. So you don't actually have to start on a blank page. That's my least favorite thing is just seeing that blank screen there. So I can choose a template that applies to the content that I'm building, and you can do that right here. I have a lot of templates in here. I'm going to do my basic V5 page. And when I make content pages, I do like to make it full screen. One cool thing about the templates is you can build your own custom templates as well with specific colors. You can also embed your logo to appear on each page, like you can see here at the bottom with the D2L logo. And you'll also notice that these HTML templates also provide you with instructional design best practices for actually how to use them, such as pasting text without formatting. You can use Control Shift V or that Command Shift V on Macs, which is what I'm going to use today. So as the course designer, I will simply use the Brightspace editor to override the different components. Let's start with replacing this header at the top. There it goes. I'd also like to change the content underneath it. We can easily go and replace the next headers. For anybody who teaches a business course, please don't judge me on the content here. I am not a business major. But beyond text, I can insert images or multimedia as well. So if I wanted to insert an internally or externally authored piece of multimedia, I can use that Insert Stuff button to do just that. You can see I have the ability to add things from my computer. I can add in a video note. So I can record a video directly in Brightspace itself with video note or even an audio note from here as well. We also have the media library, which allows you to centrally store all your media assets within Brightspace, and you can easily add any of those assets into your course straight from here as well. But for today, I would like to add something in from YouTube, and we do have the search functionality here as well, but I do already have a URL in mind, and I can press search. I'm going to insert that there. Once again, I do have the ability to go and change that, move it centered. So it's really easy to add in those third-party components. But let's just finish by replacing the rest of our text here. And I think I actually, for these types of budgets, I would like to make them bullets. So I'm just going to erase this, go back up, goodness, go back up here, add my bullets. And this is where hopefully I spell everything correctly while I type it all out. We have our cash, capital, and there it goes. I knew I was going to misspell something wrong. Comparison budgets. All right. So we have our cash budgets, our capital budgets, and our comparison budgets listed here in our bullet points. And finally, I do have this beautiful call out box that I'd like to make use of where I can capture a learner's attention. In this case, I would like to add in a reflection question. There we go. If I select any text, say this reflect and respond, I have the ability to go and change anything. I can bold it, I can make it a different heading, and I also have the ability to change the color. So here is where you can see that color picker. And we have a built-in WCAG color contrast ratio checker here. So I can see that it meets the benchmark requirements. But if I change it to something hard to read, say this here, it will flag as inaccessible. So you can easily get that instant feedback. So say I did want to change that, I press save. We also have something called our accessibility checker built right here, where you can go and click on this accessibility checker. And this is a dedicated button in Brightspace that reviews your content, looks for known issues that may not comply with WCAG guidelines, and allows you to remediate a variety of accessibility concerns. So if I have an inappropriate color contrast ratio, as you can see here, I can read more info, click here to get more information, and it takes me to that guideline. Or I can go and repair this. So what I'm going to do is it does tell me that this does not have the right ratio. I can go and change this. Let's go. That's still a little different. Let's go here. There we go. Reflect and respond. I can check that. Oh, I think it's because I highlighted the brain. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. All right, now I can go and check. Emoji was highlighted, so that was an error on my part. But now it is letting me know that no accessibility issues were detected. And yeah, this gives me that information. So if I also had maybe an image with no alternative text that wasn't marked as decorative, or maybe headings weren't in sequential order, it will catch all of these accessibility concerns to ensure that the content you create is accessible for all learners. But since I have no accessibility issues now, I am going to say OK, and I'm done with the main components of this page. But before I press save and close, I just want to bring up the items on the right-hand side. So just like you saw with our module, we can choose when to make this visible to learners with those availability dates. We also have release conditions here, and then we also have a completion accordion here. So this is where I can decide as the instructor what I will mark as what will mark this as complete for the learner. So is it automatically when it's opened or manually by learner, as you saw with that piece of content earlier today? For this one, I would like to leave it here as automatically when opened. So I'm going to press save and close. And beyond authoring content, I also have a consistent experience to author different activities or assessments. I know I'm running short on time, so what I want to do is show you real quick how I can go and maybe create an assignment or discussion or quiz. So we'll go into create new. Let's select assignment. And then what you'll notice is that this screen here is consistent across our content pages and these three different activity types. The page is laid out the same. So as a course designer, this really speeds things up as I would need to learn a new workflow each time. We have this due date here as well, which would add a calendar event for me and populate within the work to do widget. I have this familiar Brightspace editor. And on the right, I have those additional features and functions just tucked away neatly in this panel. This is an example of how we've designed Brightspace to create consistency, but also reduce the cognitive load on those designers. So I just need to learn this one interface and I can use it across all of the tools. And with this, they will be different on the right-hand side for the different content items or assessment items. So we have submission and completion availability for this assignment. We have evaluation and feedback here as well. If I wanted to add a rubric, I can do that straight from here. And then just to show you real quick, this is the same when it comes to going and creating something new, like a discussion. You'll see that the screen, this workflow, all looks exactly the same. There will be slight differences here in what's allowed on the right-hand side, but those are specific to those activity types. And real quick, we are running out of time, and I want you guys to have time for questions and to share some resources with you first. But I just want to mention we also have our learning outcomes right here in the top left corner here. So I can see what learning outcomes are already attached to certain assignments or content items as well, straight from here. And you'll notice that it's in a different color if those learning outcomes aren't aligned to content items or assessment items within my content space. So all that said, I am going to jump back into our slide deck, make sure we have time for some resources and such. I mentioned the config variables earlier, so I just want to take a moment to call out this slide. If you're familiar with the new content experience and your environment didn't look the same as what I showed, it's likely due to one of these configuration variables listed here. But I have great news. As of the June release, the inline assessment experience and the enhanced table of contents config variables will both be defaulted to on. These changes will happen during the next wave release, naturally, but if you would like them to be turned on sooner, you can make those updates to the config variables that I have listed on the screen. I'm very excited that these will be turned on automatically so everyone can experience the same streamlined workflows and intuitive navigation that you got to see today. And on our product roadmap for July, we will have an immersive view released for the new content experience as well. Susan, who's here with us today, was kind enough to share a couple details that she said we can share with you guys today. So the new full screen table of contents view will provide an easy overview of all content to be completed within the course. Clicking from the full screen table of contents will then open up the topic in the new immersive reading view where Brightspace navigation is hidden. The immersive nav bar includes breadcrumb information to indicate what's selected, and it displays in a larger screen width. So this really helps improve readability on larger screens. So you can see a mock-up of, what some of this will look like on the screen here, but be sure to check out the July release once it's public for more details. So in summary, Don't want to spend too long on this slide, but the new content experience really just helps empower learners by giving them visibility and control over their learning. It's simple for educators and efficient for instructors and course designers. You saw how intuitive it is, how consistent that experience is. And finally, the new content experience is designed for the future. NCE is where Brightspace is headed. It does reflect the latest in usability research, is built for accessibility, and benefits from ongoing improvements based on real user feedback. So we hope that through today's webinar, you'll see the value of new content experience and are excited to continue to explore it at your institution or organization. Before we move on to the rest of our resources and live question time, we would love to get your feedback from this session. So we have created a post-session survey and would appreciate if you could share your feedback on the session with us. We do take your feedback to heart. We got some feedback from the last time we did this session about some accessibility concerns and made those changes for the session today. So thank you for those who submitted that feedback. If you'd like to participate in the survey, there is that link in the chat, or you can use the QR code that you see on the screen here. And then I also have a couple links on the slide that provide information on our product idea exchange or PI process, where if you have any feedback regarding Brightspace itself, be sure to check out those resources and kind of submit your feedback there as well. We also invite you to join the D2L Champions program. Being a champion gives you the opportunity to receive points for sharing your experience, providing your feedback, and even for checking out webinars like this one. You can then redeem these points for swag, gift cards, charity options, and additional D2L services. So the link to become a champion is in the chat now. And for those who don't know, I also want to share that D2L Fusion is happening in Phoenix in July in just over a month. Fusion is D2L's annual learning conference, bringing together educators, administrators, and leaders to explore the latest in teaching, learning, and technology. We'll put a link in the chat for registration and additional information, but if you can't join us in person, I still encourage you to sign up for the virtual experience so you can really be part of the excitement, see the live stream of our main stage events, and explore those on-demand sessions. And if you want to go, but you're worried about budget, the registrations is a little too much for you, reach out to your account team. We do have discounts available for you guys, so connect with your team. So I do want to take a quick moment to say thank you for those who have attended today, whether it is your first Bright Ideas session or your 50th. Following today's session, we will be taking a short pause over the summer with the goal of resuming our Bright Ideas series in the fall with more sessions and guest presenters. So we're looking forward to continuing the conversation with you then. But in the meantime, our training team does continue to host those 2 monthly sessions for all Brightspace users. The first is a Q&A drop-in session where you can get your Brightspace questions answered in real time, or I guess I should say the second. And then the other one is that is the Q&A. And then the second is focused on what's new in Brightspace using our monthly release notes. These sessions give you free access to our D2L training team in a way you might not get otherwise, so be sure to check them out. And we will add a link to the Brightspace community events page for you to find more information on all 3 of these sessions here that are happening later this month. This one does have some customers that will be in it as well, so I highly recommend checking it out if you're available. Thank you again, everybody. Always love having you guys here. And look forward to seeing you guys again in the fall. Or hopefully at Fusion.